Hello, guys. Hope you're having a lovely day today. With this little Monday morning, I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about getting introduced to the Church 360 member system. So we're going to go over things along the lines of just like the administrative settings, just getting started with inviting people to the site, as well as actually like adding in new people records as well. So just as a brief introduction, my name is Taylor here, so Taylor Brown. I've been here for about 6 years now. I've really been enjoying talking to church folks such as yourselves. So it's definitely an honor here, just so that I can get through the full webinar and everything. All of your phones and microphones have been muted, just so that everybody can hear me. However, if there is any questions that pop up into your mind that you wanted to ask, feel free to, in the GoToWebinar area here, there should be a question sort of box in there so that you can type out your questions. And we do have my manager, Rod Kiles. He is going to be kind of hovering in that area, kind of answering questions throughout. However, anything that he does not answer, we can definitely address at the very end of things, or I can always just email you directly as well. So definitely feel free to just ask any question, that just pops up, because chances are other people have asked that question as well. So, okay. So as a brief little overview here, we are going over the class agenda. That's what we're doing right now. And then we're just going to go over a general outline of just getting started and some of the settings and some of the navigation in the site here. Then I'm going to kind of discuss each of the different areas. And then I'll just have a brief little quiz here. They're just like 4 multiple choice questions. Not going to report anything to your pastor or anything. Just making sure that I'm covering all of the important details that we definitely want to make sure are headed home. And then at the very end, we are going to open it up for a question and answer session so that any questions that haven't been answered already, we can just open up the discussion. And then we can also, if it is more personal or particular to your member site, then we can always kind of help out from the support end of things. So kind of a brief outline of what it is I plan to go over today, since this is the Getting Started webinar here. I am going to go over like the login screen, logging in initially, or after it is that you've already created your login and you're able to log in. Going over the navigation and settings, kind of the building blocks that go into the different types of modules that are available. So in addition to that, we're also going to go into like the roles and logins, like setting up permissions, kind of making that granulated sort of option for different specific permissions, and then also inviting other people into the system as well. Then we'll also kind of look at the people view, kind of show a little navigation regarding that, some bulk editing features, and then also kind of going over additional sort of areas like the pastoral visits and the church register, just briefly. And then we'll just kind of tie things together by actually adding and updating people records, which I think is going to be a lot of the main tasks that many secretaries and data entry folk or even administrators are going to be kind of focused on here. So without further ado, we can just go ahead and get started here. I am using this webinar sort of demo site here for Christ Community Church. This is a web-based software. Church360 is a web-based software, so you can access this from, an internet browser on any typical device like your phone, your tablet, and it can be at home, it can be at church. So this is definitely very accessible compared to some locally based softwares. So you will always be able to access this your database, so long as you just kind of keep in mind exactly what URL it is that you're looking for. And each Church360 site has its own what we call subdomain. So looking in the address bar at the very top here, you can see that I have webinar DB, webinar database, as my subdomain right here. So this is all going to be unique to every church. So every church is going to have its own unique subdomain. So as long as you keep your subdomain in mind and then tack on that .church360.app, that is your full domain, that is your full URL. That's what you would be typing into the address bar on a new device so that you can access this particular login screen. And it will have your particular church name in here, and you'll be able to log in using the email that you had set up when you were invited initially. And whenever you go into this field here, you would just type in your email address here, or you can also set up a username instead under your user settings. If you didn't want to type out your entire email address, we can definitely get over that in just a few seconds. But typing in your username or your email address, you do have two different credential opportunities here, depending on what your preferences are. The first option would naturally just be the typical password, and you can go ahead and use that password by clicking on this arrow icon here, and it will open up this field so that you can type in this password. We do have multi-factor authentication for passwords, so once I do enter this in, we will get a 6-digit one-time code for you to finish logging in. We do also have a passkey option, which can be used with maybe like a phone or maybe a password manager that can kind of keep track of the code from the specific browser so that it will log in without needing an actual password. And that does bypass the one-time code part of the password sort of function instead. So you can definitely go with the password or you can go with passkey. I'm going to go ahead and just use password because that's the one I use. So if I type in my password in here, and if the system does detect that you do have a login, it is attached to this email, this is the correct password. When we click on this continue button here, it is going to send a one-time code to your email address. So it is sending it to the email address that I have here attached to my login. So then when I receive that email, it will be a 6-digit code. It is available for about 5 minutes. And then you'll be able to click on this code on the in the email message and just kind of paste it in as needed. So this was my 6-digit code for this instance here. You can request a new code if you didn't get the initial one within that 5-minute window. So that's always available to you. And then if you ever do have any issues with logging in, either with the passkey or password option, you can click on this trouble signing in link, and it will send a password passkey reset to your email as well. So that's definitely available as needed. But I'm going to go ahead and just click on the continue button with my 6-digit option here, and it will open it up typically to the people view, as that is where a lot of the different tasks take place in here. So on this left-hand side here, you can see our navigation bar that's available. In the upper left-hand corner, you do have the ability to upload a logo. So if you did have an image of your church or any sort of symbol that you wanted to add to both your login screen or in the upper left-hand area here, you can upload that in general settings. We'll get to that in just a second. We also have this little bell icon, and if it is orange, it just kind of shows you that there is some sort of notification that's available to you. And these can include like software releases or any sort of notifications regarding the system itself, and it can also refer to just typical tasks that might have occurred, like if someone had archived a person, which is kind of like a soft delete, or if maybe envelopes have been renumbered, or if maybe a student promotion has occurred. You would just kind of get those types of notifications as needed. Once you do receive that notification, you don't need it anymore. You can click on this X icon and just dismiss it, so that when that bell is black, it just lets you know there are no current notifications that are available. Going even further onto the navigation bar, we do have the various different modules. Depending on your permissions, you might see more, you might see less. But looking at the different modules, you can hover over them to kind of see their name, or you can click on this little arrow right here to kind of extend it so that you can kind of see all of the different titles when you're getting used to what these different symbols mean. The first option would be the people view. We will be revisiting this. This is where you're going to be entering in people's information. You're going to be editing it. You're going to be generating contact lists, membership lists, just any sort of information that you need to add or you need to extract relating to specifically people, then you would be able to do this mostly from the people view as needed from there. We also have the events area that takes place relating to not only the events calendar, but also your attendance and entering in attendance, getting attendance details, kind of seeing, if someone maybe is a delinquent or maybe has fallen off, you can kind of see attendance patterns relating to those. You also have your offerings area. This is where you would be entering in offerings, editing offerings, kind of looking at various different batches, as well as kind of getting more reference information regarding maybe like fund summaries for a specific date range, or even like summaries on givers, kind of seeing what their pledge progress is going to be. You also have a communications module here. These are for all types of bulk messaging items. You do have the ability to send out bulk emails. You can send out bulk text messages once that's set up, and you can even record a voicemail message and send that out to people's phones as well through the communications module. Then we also have what we call forms, which can be attached to a particular event, like if you had a particular event where you needed volunteers, you can create forms and send those forms out attached to that event and kind of get any sort of RSVP or additional information regarding those. Then we also have an area where you have any of your saved views or saved reports, as well as a few canned reports that are available underneath the reports area. And then rounding it out, we do have our settings, which are kind of the building blocks for the previously mentioned modules that we have above here. And just before we get into the overall settings of the site, in the lower left-hand area, we do have things pertaining to just your particular login. So if I wanted to click on my name or my symbol, if I just collapse here, I can just click on the symbol here, and I can open up my own record and update things like my contact information, my address information, whatever it is I want to see on the directory. It is attached to your person record, so you can update that information as needed. Or if you wanted to see settings relating just primarily to your login itself and how you log into the software, you can also click on your user settings here to kind of open things up and see exactly what login email it is that you want. If you wanted to update your login email, you didn't want to use this email anymore to log in, you can use another one by updating it from here. You can update the username so you don't have to type out your login email every time that you log in. And then we also have the ability to update your default view, your pastoral visit notifications if you plan them in advance, as well as kind of accounting for your password and passkey options. So you can have both a password and a passkey if you needed to, if you wanted to use like maybe the passkey, like logging in with your biometrics on your phone when you're at church, but kind of have your password on your personal computer, then you can definitely use that to your advantage. When you do log in with your password, it does keep you logged in for up to a week. So that could definitely be helpful if it is a private computer. So you could use your password for your private computer at home and then maybe use the passkey option when you're logging in from church or from another device. Just completely up to you. You can also add in multiple passkeys. So all of these are available to you as needed, and you can also update and edit things as needed. And then if you ever find that, you do want to just sign out of all devices, including the device that we have here, you can click on this button to make sure that nobody else has access to your particular record either. And then last but not least, in the far left corner, We do have this little log out button that you can click on and it will log you out, and you can always just log back in and use MFA as needed from there. But in addition to that, we do have just the overall site settings that are available underneath this gear icon here. So going into the settings here, I am logged in as an administrator, so I do see just absolutely everything relating to this site. So if you're not an overall administrator, there might be some things that you're not quite seeing, and that's perfectly normal. But looking at the general settings that are right here, this is just for the overall site. And this is where you would see things like your church information. You can update your phone number or your church email address as needed. It's not included in any real reports or anything, but it just kind of gives you that extra information as needed, especially things like your address, your time zone, denomination. I don't foresee that changing anytime soon, so you can always just kind of use this more as reference information as needed. You can edit a logo and upload a logo as needed. So if I clicked on here to edit a logo and then upload an image from my computer, I can click on this upload button here and open up my list that's available here. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it's in desktop or documents. It's right here. So my Christ Community Church logo here, I'm going to select that. And it will slowly upload your logo so that whatever image it is that you have selected will appear here, and you'll be able to upload that as needed. It does take just a second for it to upload, but you can see here that it has that information. You can always click to replace the logo. If you wanted to find another image, you can crop it, and then you can also remove it as needed from there. Then further down here, again, most of this is going to be just reference information like whoever the primary contact is, what your plan information is regarding your subscription, just kind of showing you whatever your limit is, as well as kind of your progress towards those active member households. It also includes your customer ID number, and then sometimes also when your renewal date is available as well. Further down here, we do have the ability to automatically promote grade levels. So if there was a particular date where you wanted everybody's grade level to just go up, you can check this box and choose a particular date. It will have to be a date, in the future. You can't backdate it, but with this being August 11th, I can choose maybe in maybe a week or so, I can choose to promote August 18th, that next coming Sunday, and then it would be able to save those changes so that when that August 18th date does go around, then everybody's grade will go up one so that you don't have to do that manually. We also have the ability to adjust different calendar averages. This isn't going to affect your events calendar. It is going to affect things like your weekly averages, exactly when it is you want a week to start for those calculations. So there is a good chance that you might not ever need to adjust this, but you can change exactly when you want that calendar and those averages to be calculated. And then we also have this federal tax ID that's available here where you can add this in, and it will be in addition to all of the other information on like your contribution statements. It will just be an additional field that you can include. Otherwise, if you leave it blank, it will just not be available on your contribution statement from there. If you do make any sort of changes on these general settings, there will be this black bar that's down here where you can save now. So clicking on that will save those changes and will be applied once you refresh the screen from there. In addition to the general settings for the overall site, we do also have settings pertaining to particular modules. For the people view, you have the ability to create custom fields as needed if you needed to create fields relating to a particular date, or if it was like maybe a list to choose from, like maybe an assigned person, like an elder, or whether or not they wanted to be included on a newsletter, you can create fields relating to those. In addition to the custom fields, you do have the ability to create different grades. If you wanted to kind of create some sections as needed, you can create grades from here and just choose whatever their order is. For your kind of filtering and other grouping mechanisms, you will be able to take advantage of what we call smart groups and tags. The smart groups are kind of that criteria-based sort of group where it's people who are members who fulfill other criteria. So those who have a particular birthday in a particular month, then they could be used in a smart group as needed. And since it is a criteria-based group, it is dynamic. So anytime anybody fulfills those particular traits, they would be automatically added to this group. On the flip side, we also have what we call tags, which is kind of more of those manual assignments that you can use for your small groups, those who are in a particular group or want to be a part of a particular email list, or those who are interested in being greeters or ushers, just anything that isn't based in a criteria. You can assign these tags both in bulk and individually as needed, and then you'd be able to pull those up in the same way that you would use smart groups as well. In addition to that, we also have various different settings for events, offerings, and communications. For events, you do have the ability to create different event types so that you can kind of group and calculate based off of different types of events. For offerings, you have the ability to input envelopes, funds, and pledges to be then attributed to particular offerings. And then for communications, you can have set up various different templates as needed if you wanted like an email signature, or needing to have people opt in for text messaging if they were interested in being a part of that. We also have some integrations, primarily the Vanco integration, which is an e-giving site that people can give online, and then those would be integrated and imported into Church360 members so that then you don't have to create those particular batches, from scratch like you would those manually entered offerings. And then just kind of rounding it out, we have our admin area that's available here as well, where you're going to determine exactly who has access to the software and exactly what it is that they can do. And here we do have the event log. So if you did ever see that someone's information is looking a little wonky, you can always go into this event log and kind of see different information relating to what it is that someone is doing. You also have your list of different logins of whoever it is that can log into the site. But right before I get into the logins, I want to drop down over to roles, which are those different sets of permissions relating to exactly what a person can do on the site here. So clicking on roles here, there we go. We do have roles that are attached to each of the different types of modules. So we do have the people, events, offerings, communications, and ledger, which is our finance portion of things, where you can create roles far in advance, even before you actually invite someone, so that you just kind of have these roles just ready for whenever it is you're ready to invite new people in. And you can use any of these kind of pre-populated roles where it's just kind of showing you exactly what they can and cannot do. You can edit them by clicking on the pencil icon here. Naturally, you can't edit or delete the administrator role, but you can always update any of the other pre-populated roles. Or you can just click on the Add Role button to just start from scratch and create something for just particular people that aren't included in those pre-populated options here. Whenever you see the ability to delete people, this does give the role the ability to not only permanently delete them, but also archive, which is kind of a soft delete option here, so that if the person has been transferred, you don't need them in any sort of report, you can, archive them so that they're no longer part of the database, but also could possibly bring them back if maybe they transferred back for any sort of reason. Or you could also just permanently delete them as well. So that's kind of what that delete people option is. It has both the archive and the deletion capabilities relating to that. really whenever it is that you see the word manage relating to a particular role like custom fields, grades, smart groups, this gives the person the ability to add to edit, and then also delete parts of those particular settings. So that is also a very administrator-like sort of capability where it gives them kind of free reign of those particular types of settings. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Any sort of permission that uses the word see or view or review, these are read-only permissions. So if you only wanted someone to only see information but not actually edit it, you can use this more granulated opportunity to just give them that particular ability for reference types of material. And you can even go further and so that that the person can see people's ages if that's pertinent, and then also seeing unlisted or maybe privated information like contact or address information as well. So you can definitely kind of choose between those. The ability to modify account settings, those are those admin capabilities, which includes not only the general settings, but also includes things like your Banco integrations, as well as the ability to create roles and logins as well. So you want to keep that in more of the admin sort of circle. And then just the ability to edit people's information. Any sort of fields that they have the ability to see, they would be able to edit. So giving them that capability would naturally apply to their ability to actually see the information. Or you could just give them the ability to only edit their own profile and only their household. So if you only want them to update just their household and just their person record, then you can kind of specify exactly what it is that they're able to do. Further with the other types of modules that we have available here, it also has kind of that granulation. Relating to events, you have the ability to delete events or just review or enter attendance, just depending on exactly what it is that you would like to see. You can also give them the ability to manage specific settings relating to this particular module. In addition to that, we also have our offerings area here. Where you can just solely enter in offerings. You can't remove them. You can't really manage any of the other types of settings, but you could enter in offerings, which makes sense for like just an offering counter. So if I did want to add in that offering counter for a specific person, I could click on this add role here and add in offerings counter. And you can choose a specific color scheme if you wanted to. You do not have to, but you do can definitely choose that whenever we get into the logins page, and it will show those particular color schemes. But other than that, you would just kind of check the box on exactly what it is that you would like them to do. Maybe I want them to be able to enter in offerings, maybe review offerings, kind of see anything that was been put in the past. And then if I did want them to maybe connect between an envelope number and a person record, like knowing what envelope number goes to which person, or if I wanted them to generate things like contribution statements and they did have access to the people view, then I can allow them to see individual contribution details as well, just depending on whatever their tasks are. So clicking on save, that would add that role right here. And then, at the tail end here, we also have the ability to choose exactly what communications a person can do if you want them to be able to manage or send text messages, or if you wanted them to just be able to send emails or just send voicemail messages. That's just completely up to you as well. And then for the finance portion, we also have various different permissions on exactly what types of transactions they could do as well. But once you have those roles already created, far in advance, when you are ready to invite a new person into the system here, you would navigate over to the logins here. And you do have a list of just everybody that has access to the software here. So we can see with Jordan, Taylor, Rod, we have a list of just everybody that has access. If I did want to add in a new person and invite them, I would click on this Add Login button here. And in this specific instance, I have a person named Lou Fernandez who's going to be a new offering counter, so I can take advantage of that role that I just created. So clicking on this drop-down menu, I can click in here and start typing in their name, or I can just keep scrolling down, whichever I prefer. But clicking on the person's name here, you can see that if a person doesn't have a personal or work email address, then they wouldn't be able to have a login because they wouldn't be able to receive the email for their particular invitation. So that's something to keep in mind. But Lou definitely does. So I can select him and there is no email notification. So that's good. Clicking on his name here, I then would choose exactly what roles it is I want him to be able to do. So maybe I just want him to have just kind of a people sort of general user sort of ability when looking at the people view. I don't want him to be editing anything except for his own profile. And then I want to give him the ability to be an offerings counter. So I'll choose that particular option as well. If they don't need access to a particular module, you do not have to give them anything. You can just skip over them and just give them solely what it is that you need. If they are going to be an administrator and have all of the ability, you can just select those. You don't have to select all of the different roles that are available. But once you are satisfied with those roles and you click the Save button here, we can see here that now it is pending an invitation. So the invitation has been sent to any of the personal or work email addresses that Lou had on his record here. So the ball is kind of in his court right now. So if you do see this pending invitation, no need to panic. It just means they haven't set up their login, but they have received that invitation. And once he does open up that invitation, they'll click on the button that says create your account. He'll choose whether or not he wants to use a password or a passkey option. And once he logs in for the first time, then his information will fill in like all of these other logins that are available. And it will tell you whatever their login email is, when they had last signed in, when their password does expire. The password does expire after a year just for security. So it will expire after a year and you will have to reset it. You'll have a list of all of the different roles that the person has, like here. And if you did want to kind of see more of a consolidated sort of list, if you were just interested in what this person was able to do, you can click on this eye icon to kind of inspect this login, to just open up and see exactly what it is that this person can do. So once you have those compiled permissions, everything is looking good, you can click on the close button or just click away from it just to close it, and you have that information for your reference. If you did need to edit a person's roles, say maybe if he was no longer going to be a counter, maybe he's been upgraded to the treasurer for any sort of reason, we can click to make him an offerings administrator instead and remove the counter option just to give him just more access as needed. If he no longer needs his login anymore, he's just not going to be using the site, maybe he's transferred, maybe he's passed away, you can click on this trash can icon to remove the login entirely so that he will no longer have any access to the software through this email address. And then we also have the ability to manually expire a password as well. So it automatically expires after a year after the first login. But if you do receive like some sort of scam email or you're getting text messages and you think that maybe your information has been compromised through a particular login, you can go in here and you can manually expire passwords as needed so that the next time that Lou types in his email and types in his password, it's just going to say it's time to change your password, and they'll be able to change it and receive that password reset email, reset it so that you can always be sure that your information on here is safe. From there, since this is kind of all of the different settings areas here, swinging back over to the people view itself, the people view itself is where a lot of the updates and a lot of the lists are going to take place here. There are various different modes for the people view that's available here. We do have the individuals, the households, the givers, and the marriages views, that are available that give you the same people, but it will give them slightly different information depending on the view it is that you're looking at. So looking at individuals, that makes sense for birthday lists and things that are pertaining to a particular person like membership. Or if you're looking for just address information for an entire household and just looking at the list of members, you could look at the household view. For the giver's view, if you're looking for more information along the lines of maybe just their envelope number and maybe getting an envelope list or mailing labels for envelopes, then you can use the giver's view. Or we can also see a list of just the different marriages, seeing exactly how they're contributing, how long they've been married, what their wedding anniversary is for, just a quick little view needing that particular information. In any of these 4 views, you can filter based off of searching those smart groups or those tags. So if you did need to look for a particular person like Eddie, you can just quickly find those that have that information in here. So you can just track them down really quickly. On this right-hand area here, you also have the ability to search by particular smart groups, like this birthday option that we have available here, denoted by that light bulb icon here. We can click on that and kind of choose exactly whoever it is that was that created this smart group, that we know that that is the group that we want to choose. In addition to smart groups, you can also choose to filter by tags if you needed to. If you needed to look for a particular list of people who have this particular tag, you can click on here and filter based off of that as well. Or if you needed to kind of build up maybe a smart group or create different traits, you can click on this button that has the 3 lines on it, and you can actually start adding in particular traits that are needed for any particular task, like a birthday list or an anniversary list, people who are members, people who are living, any sort of trait it is that you want to filter using. You can kind of use this little drop-down area here to add in those traits. And if this is a group that you do frequently use, then you can click on the Save Group and it will be added in to your drop-down list that's available here. And in any particular view it is that you look for, you will also be able to choose various different columns it is that you're interested in. So if you did need to just see an address list, you could just quickly just pull up those addresses, maybe a birthday list if we needed to, and kind of interact with whatever columns it is that we want to use from there. And then in the upper right-hand area, we do have a few more action buttons on the people view, like if you needed to upload your Shepherd staff database, if you needed to download whatever it is that you see here into an Excel document or Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, or we also have additional canned reports depending on the view it is that you're looking for. You can also print directly from the browser, or you can save the report. If this is going to be a view that you frequently use, like a birthday list, then you can save that report from there as needed as well. In addition to just the views themselves, you can also interact with various different records in a bulk editing feature. So if you did need to make edits to multiple different people here, you can check the box next to their name. And whenever it is that you do check that box, we have this little black bar that appears down here where you can then choose to bulk archive if it's in the individuals area. You can bulk update if it was like maybe some sort of demographic information or maybe a custom field for individuals. You can also add or remove tags in bulk if you wanted to assign someone to a particular email list or a particular group, you can add those. Or you can kind of set up the people that you have selected to actually start a communication message as well by clicking any of the communication options to open that up so that you can start creating that message with these people already selected. In addition to these these four modes that are available, we do have two add-on views that you can use as much or as little as you would like. We have the pastoral visits view, and even though it has pastoral in its name, pastor isn't the only one who's allowed to use this. But these are just for any sort of visits that you wanted to add to a person's record, just to denote that they have been visited. If you wanted to add in a note for a particular time period, you can create these new visits here by clicking on New Visit. And you can plan these, you can enter these in from the past, or you can plan these in advance if we wanted to add in something, and plan that in advance. Then you'll click exactly who it is going to be visited by clicking on the site here, and then just checking the box next to whoever's name it is that's being visited. So if we wanted to select that these three were being visited, maybe from a nursing home, then we can select them from our list here. For the visited by, this can be pastor, this can be an elder, this could be just the church office itself if you needed to, but clicking on the visit by option, you can either just click on your particular name, or you can find exactly who it is that made that particular visit. Then you'll be able to select a specific visit type, just kind of keeping things more categorical, more vague, and you can kind of select any of the existing visit types, or you can type in your own if you needed to, just typing these in and clicking on this plus button here. That will be an additional visit type from here on out. And then maybe in this particular instance, these are private communion, so I could also add in that additional tag as well. I can go into much more detail on the mileage, length of visit, and then I can even check if they have communed to mark this as a communion event as well, so that that communion information would be added to their record for anybody that needed to be marked as having communed that isn't really part of an actual attendance event instead. And then at the very bottom here, you can add in notes during or after you've already entered in your visit here, where you can enter in these notes and then choose exactly what the visibility is going to be. So if pastor was typing this in and this was a very personal note that he only wanted maybe other pastors to see, he could specify that, maybe kind of extend it so that administrators can see it as needed and specify that visibility. Or if he unchecks all of them, only the login it is that has created this note would be able to see it. So it's very private and you can use it as needed from there. Once you have saved that visit, it will be added to that person record. So you will be able to see it on their person record and see those notes and that information as well. But you can also kind of generate this list from the pastoral visit list here, where you can search for particular people. You can filter based off of just those who have had communion, those who have this little chalice next to their name. And then you can specify the date range and then print or export if you needed a report on just whatever has been visited. In the same way, we also have a church register if you're interested in kind of moving your church register over to a more digital version, where you can add in specific baptisms, confirmations, weddings, funerals as needed here, and then be able to download that list as well. If we did want to add in a new entry, say for like a wedding here, we can use this entry line right here to choose exactly when the wedding took place. Then we can choose from existing names in our database where we can track down that Ruth is a member here, and we can double check all of her information, make sure that is still accurate. And then we would enter in maybe Rob here. And so Ruth and Rob, verifying Rob's information as well. And we can add in any sort of information that we have. You don't have to have any of this information, but then you'd be able to add in this record so that not only do you have the register information, like the license number, return date, officiant information on this particular view, but it will also mark Ruth and Robert as now being married on the people side, so that it kind of makes data entry just a little bit more straightforward. Again, you can use this as much or as little as you would like, so feel free to just kind of explore as needed. In addition to just the various different views, primarily one of your main points are going to be just adding and updating people data. And whenever it is that you're ready to add in a new person, you would go up here to, spoiler alert, you're going to click on the new button that's available here. Clicking here, you'll be able to put in whatever the household or family name is going to be. So this would be typically the surname. In this instance, I'll go ahead and add in the Wilson family here. So W-I-L-S-O-N. As I start typing things in, you can see that existing households are being shown here. So if I did want to add to an existing household, if I wanted to add maybe a new person to Billy and Trisha Lewis's record, then I can select something that already is existing, or I can just continue to type in whatever the household name is and press the enter key, and that will let the system know that it is just a brand new household. We want it separated from everybody else. Then we can just go ahead and enter in the names of the different members of this household. So if I wanted to, I could enter in Jack here, and he's a male. Maybe he's not a member right now. And then I can add in his wife, Nancy. Helps if I actually spell things correctly though. Entering in her name, and she's not going to be a member right now. And then they have a little girl named Stephanie. And we can add in her information as well. So if this is the only information that you have, you just want to add in these person records so that you can add in maybe offering records or attendance records to these people, then you can click on the add button and then just move on to your next task. It's not going to take you to any other screen. Or you can click on this add and edit button here, and it will open it up into this household record that's available. And in the upper left-hand area, it shows the surname, Wilson, and then it shows the Wilson household as the addressee. So this would be what would show up on a mailing label if you generated a label for this particular household. If you wanted to change it in any sort of way, you can click on the name itself to open it up for editing. So if you wanted to update the family name, you could. Or if I specified that I wanted it to be more Mr. and Mrs. Wilson instead, then I can click on that, update that label name in whatever format it is that I prefer, and clicking away from there, it will save it with that little checkbox that's available. To add in an address for this household, we would click on this little section here that kind of highlights whenever I hover over it, but clicking on here will open it up for editing. So then I can put in 575 Mandan Road in here, and I can also tab through as needed. So Monticello, Missouri. 457. There we go. Entering in that address information. I can add a carrier route or mark it as unlisted as private if I desire. But otherwise, that would be the only thing that's required for the address. If for any sort of situation, the mailing address is going to be different, maybe they have a P.O. box, or maybe it's a snowbird situation where they have two different addresses for everybody in the household, you can check this box here and enter in another household, as well as, if it is appropriate, you can check this box on this from area here and actually choose a date range to use the mailing address instead of the permanent address. So if you chose this date range, then if it was within this date range, the mailing address would be used. If it's outside of this date range, the permanent address would be used as well. And it can also be listed as unlisted as well. So whatever the situation comes, you can definitely add in multiple addresses for a singular household. You also are able to add in phone numbers, email addresses, and timeline notes if you needed to the overall household as needed. They will be attributed to everybody in the household. So if it is appropriate, you can definitely add that in here. For timeline for the household, you only have the ability to add in a note. Any sort of more specific information, like maybe a cell phone or a personal email address, or more personal notes, like a pastoral visit, will be added solely to the individual information when we get there. In the center here, we have a list of all of the different members that we've created and we've added into this household record. If you did need to adjust exactly, how they appear on like a directory, we could choose to maybe put Nancy first if we wanted to just kind of drag and drop things and just kind of rearrange them as needed here. Or we also have the ability to add in images relating to your household. You can generate directories from Church360. So if you did want to add in a pictorial directory and add this in for each of the households, going over to the right-hand area here, clicking on this image here, this does open it up to a familiar site with the picture option. So clicking on upload will open up your file explorer where you can choose from your pictures here whatever picture it is that you want to upload. Selecting this JPEG file for the Wilson family, I can open up this. And once it populates, I can choose to crop it if I needed to. You can do the same thing for individual pictures as well. So if we wanted to, we could upload the photo for the household here, and then maybe whenever we're uploading it for the individual, we can then crop it and choose to show only one particular person's information or just one particular person's face. So you can definitely crop things as needed from there, or you can remove them entirely or just replace it with another picture instead. And then over on the far right, we do have some additional custom fields. So if you do create custom fields for the household record instead, like a newsletter or an assigned person, you would be able to click on here and select from those options. And then you also just have this quick reference information letting you know exactly when it was that they had last visited. And that's kind of the overall household area, the location itself, where all of these people are living. But if we did want to have more personal information, we would need to open up their person record naturally. So if I wanted to update Jack's information, I can click on his name either on the people view or here on the household view here. So clicking on his name to open up his record. It is important to note that we will be releasing a new profile view sometime in October 2025. So it will look slightly different from what it is that we're looking on here. The household view is going to be mostly the same, but the personal profile view will have their timeline events, like their membership updates and other pastoral visits. It will be in a different tab and it will be slightly moved around. If anybody is interested in trying that out as like a field tester before that release date, please feel free to just add in your name and let us know in the question answer option here, or you can email us in support and we can kind of give you just a sneak peek before we actually release it. But more or less, everything is still going to behave fairly similarly. So whenever it is that we go in to a person record in the upper left-hand area here, we do have a list, or we do have the person's name here. So I'm sure at least a few of you have been severely, distressed over how I have spelled Jack. I've misspelled his name. I forgot the K. If I did need to update that information, I can go up here and click on his name here, and I can actually open it up for any sort of editing. Maybe that's his preferred name if you wanted to keep it like that, but we can also just add in that K and update their information as needed. You do have the ability to update their title, their middle name, their maiden name, if maybe they got married and their last name needed to move to their maiden name and be updated, then you can update this information. You can also keep their legal name while also using their preferred name as their nickname, so that the legal name is included on like their contribution statement, but their preferred name is going to be shown on like the directory. You can definitely use that. Once you have updated that information, clicking away from it, will save it with that little green check mark. Primarily with address information, a person's address information is going to be pulled from their household view here. We can kind of see that with the Mandan Road that's available here. If for any sort of reason a person's address has changed, maybe they're moving out for any sort of reason, you can click on the mailing address to open it up for editing. If you needed to move them to an existing household, if maybe Jack needed to move to Deidre Barber's household for any sort of reason, then you can definitely just select an existing household, or you can update the person's address just manually, say for like Monticello here. If you did update anything on this area, so if I changed his address to 456 Finn Road and keep everything else, when I click away from it, it's going to detect that there are other people in this household. So it's going to be asking you, hey, Jack is living with Nancy and Stephanie. Are we updating this address for everybody that's in this household? Or is Jack moving to a different location? Is he moving out of the household? So if Nancy and Stephanie are staying in the same Monticello address, but Jack is moving out, we can choose to create the new household, which can definitely be helpful for like college students who are moving out on their own. Or if this is applying to just everybody that is in the Wilson household, we can choose to update that instead. So either way, just depending on the situation, you have both of those options. One other option that you do have is if maybe Jack here is maybe deployed to the military, or if maybe there is a spouse who is in a nursing home and the other spouse is still living at home, but you want to keep them together in the same household for like directory purposes or any other sort of reason. You also have the ability to add an away address for a person as well. So if we did want him to stay in the Monticello area here, then we can choose instead to add in this away address instead, where we could say that he is 222 Graphite Street, and then add in that away address instead, so that he's still in the same household as Nancy and Stephanie, but he is being listed as being away. So we can keep this as vague or as specific as we would want. If we wanted to put that he is being deployed, then we can specify that, and then have that away address if we ever needed to send something directly to him. So you definitely have a few different options relating to how to address different address situations. You also have the ability to add in personal phone numbers and email addresses. Clicking on the plus button either in the household or in the individual area, clicking on here, you would be able to specify whatever type of phone number it is. For households, you would only have the ability to choose households. So if it was more specific, like a work or a cell phone number, you'll want to add that to a person record instead and add in that cell phone. So if I can copy and paste on here, you can copy and paste as needed, or you can type things in as well. It will assume that if you don't have the 1 in front of it, it will assume that it does have that 1 in front of it. Otherwise, you can manually put in if it is a different country code for the person's phone number instead, and then just clicking away from here will save that as needed. You can also add in an email address from here and choose whether it's a personal, home, or a work email. So if it was work, maybe I wanted to add in Jack Wilson @ Berg jack.net and add that in. For any contact or address information, you can mark it as unlisted and click away from it to save it. You can also add in timeline events for a particular person. And these timeline events include things like notes and pastoral visits, but it can also include specifically membership information as well. So if I wanted to, since he's listed as a non-member, if I wanted to add him as a new member here, I would click on this timeline right here, and I have the ability to add in a note, I can add in a pastoral visit, or since the system is detecting that he's not a member, I can receive him as a member now. And clicking on here, I can choose, depending on the denomination it is that is set up in general settings, I can choose any of these kind of hard-coded options depending on the denomination, where I can then choose maybe transfer from another LCMS. And then I can even add in a memo if I wanted to, like maybe this was from Trinity Lutheran Church from this particular zip code. Then I can add in that memo just to let them know exactly what it was transferred from, and then also this the date it is that he actually transferred in from as well. Clicking away from there, it does save that information. This will be important when generating your annual report. So the date and the time, the date and the method, that will be included in your annual report as being a person who has been added to membership. In that same sort of idea, you can also, if you click on the timeline again, since he is now listed as being a member, I can also remove him from membership as well. So any sort of membership changes are going to be in this kind of timeline area from here on out. In these kind of center area of things, this is where all of your familial relationships are going to take place. And I'm going to go ahead and just refresh here. But whenever it is that you want to add in a familial relationship, you would add this under the family area here. So just to take a step back just real quick, if someone is in the same household, so we know that Jack, Nancy, and Stephanie, they're all in the same household. This just means that they're living in the same address. They're in the same location. It's not making any sort of assumptions on parental or marital relationships. Those will need to be updated in this family area. And this, by extension, also means you can add in familial relationships to other people who are not in the same household, because relationships don't work that way. People move out, but they're still your family. So any sort of familial relationships that you want to add in here, you would click on this plus icon here and then choose exactly who it is that you're adding a relationship for. So we can track down Nancy here and find Nancy Wilson right here. Clicking on her, I said, clicking on Nancy Wilson here. Then I can choose exactly who she is to him. So instead of a child, I'm going to choose a spouse. So Nancy is going to be Jack's spouse, and we're going to add that relationship in here. Then once we have that marital relationship that's available, I can add in that wedding date as needed. So then I can choose exactly when it is that they had gotten married. And then clicking away from there will save it. I can also choose if they're going to contribute jointly with or without an envelope. It will just this will just allow them to have just one single contribution statement for their offerings instead, but you can choose to contribute separately if that's what the couple desires. And then in addition to being able to add a marital relationship, if anything does occur with this relationship, hovering over it a little far off to the right, we have this very faint little minus button that's available here. And clicking on here, specifically for a marriage, you do have the ability to mark them as being divorced. If we wanted to mark Jack as being a widower and his spouse as being deceased, we could click on this deceased button. Or if this was a relationship that was put in by mistake, you can click on the delete button and it will remove the relationship entirely as if it had never happened. So you have a few different options relating to that as well. Then in addition to the marital information, I'll also add in a familial relationship to Stephanie. Track down Stephanie, and she is his child. So I'll click on that as well. So then even if, when Stephanie grows up and she moves out, it will still have that relationship. Jack and Nancy will still be listed as her parents. So then you can still kind of maintain that historical data regardless of whether or not they're actually living in the same household. Then directly underneath the family, you do have the ability to add in a tag. So you do have those bulk options that are available on the people view, but you could also add in the tags from here. Just clicking on the tag area and just typing things in. You can start typing things in and it will start kind of pre-populating any of the available tags as needed. So if I wanted to add him to the men's club, I could add him to that. Or if I wanted to add him to maybe the ushers, I can add in this. You can add in as many tags as you would like. They're just manual assignments and you can just add them in and create them as needed from there. Or if you needed to add in a new tag, so if I wanted a new tag, you can just start typing in the tag name and then pressing the enter key will add that in as well. If I wanted to remove a tag from him, I can then just click on the X icon here just to remove it entirely, and it will just remove it from there. On the right-hand side, we do have additional like demographic information where you can add in that image if we needed to, if we wanted to add in an image similar to the household photo that we had in there. We can also choose the sex, ethnic group, or birth date information just as we need, which can definitely be helpful for like your annual report. If I wanted to add in his ethnic group, you would just click on here and be able to select from the existing ethnic groups that are available here. Then for his birthday, it operates in fairly the same way. Just clicking on here will open up those date ranges that are available, and you can input partial dates as well. So if you only know maybe just his month, the month and the day of his birthday, you can just leave the year off instead. So that's available, and clicking away from that, that will open, or that will save that as needed. For the baptism, confirmation, and deceased information, you can click on the baptism information, check the box just to mark them as being baptized. And then if you only know, maybe just know the year for when it is that they were baptized, then we can select that particular year instead. Or if you just know that they have been baptized or have been confirmed, you can just check the box here. If you don't know the date, that's perfectly fine. You can just check them as being confirmed, and so then they'll be marked as a confirmed member. And then the same thing for the deceased information as well. You can just check yes or no on whether or not this person is deceased. If you know the year or the time period, then you can put that in here. Otherwise, you don't have to put that in, and it will just mark them as being deceased from there. For their grades, you would click on here and just choose from the drop-down menu, and then any other additional custom fields would be available here, like this first communion area. And then at the very bottom, we have just additional reference type information where you can kind of see whatever their envelope number is, what their attendance, maybe their contribution or pledge information. Clicking on here would take you to a screen with more specific information relating to that. And then at the very bottom here, you do have the ability to archive a person. It is, again, just a soft delete, like maybe moving them to the recycle bin. It is removing them from the database. You won't be able to generate any lists for them. They won't be part of any of your reports. They won't be part of your calculations. So I do definitely recommend waiting to archive people until maybe a year or maybe two after they've gone, just to make sure that you have run all of the reports that are that need their information relating to that. but you are able to archive people as needed. It will give you just a little warning, just telling you that it will no longer be in active use. So if I did decide to archive Jack Wilson here, once they have been archived, you can then unarchive them, or you can just straight up delete them. This will be a permanent purge process. I do not recommend it unless it is just a duplicate for any sort of reason, so no information is lost. But if you do need to track down this person again after they've been archived, like if I check, or if I mark, or if I look for Jack Wilson, he's not going to be part of my list here anymore. So whenever I go back onto this people view here, at the very bottom of all of your smart groups, of all of your tags, you do have this archive that is visible and accessible for you so that you can then find this person and maybe just find any of your other sorts of maybe test sort of records here, where you can just check that box and then unarchive him to move him back into your list that's available here. So from there, I think that is in large part everything that I had planned to go over. I do have a few quiz questions just to make sure that I did cover all of the material. So let me just start with that, and then we will just end it out with all of the other questions that you might have from here. So starting on our quiz here, my first question is, if you did need to log into your Church360 member site, you're going to go to 360members.com, and you're going to tell me if that is true or is that false. Okay. Okay, I think people have locked into their answers. So I'll end that poll. And it is a bit of a trick question. So the answer is false. So the Church360 members, it was an old domain, but we do have the church360.app domain now, and it also requires that subdomain that is specific to your particular church's website. So in my instance, it was the webinar data or webinardb.church360.app. If I put in just church360.app or 360members.com, it's not going to go anywhere. It might go to our help center, but it won't go to your direct site. So you do want to keep in mind that you do know what that subdomain is, what that URL is. Just make a note, take a picture as needed, so that then you can always access it from any sort of device that you might need. From there, we also have the people view. And is it true or false that it does give you information on individuals, households, givers, and marriages? Is this true or is this false? Okay, everybody is locked in really quickly. And everybody is answering with one answer, so I'm thinking you guys already knew this one. So that answer is true. So it does have a very versatile view, just depending on exactly what information it is that you're looking for. It can all be filtered in the same way, but it would just give you just different information depending on the columns it is that you have selected and the view it is that you have up. So from here, true or false, you can add a relationship to a person record, even if they are in a different household. Is this true or is this false? Okay. Jumped on that really quickly. So I'll go ahead and just end that poll here. And that answer is true. That would make things very awkward if, the moment you move out, you're just no longer part of the family. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work in real life, so that doesn't work in the system either. So yes, you can definitely assign relationships, even if they are not in the same household. And by extension, you can have people in the same household, like roommates, and they not be making any assumptions on marital or familial relationships with that as well. So very good on that. Everybody got that correct? And then last but not least, we have a multiple choice where if you guys can remember just which is the way that you can filter data in the people view. Is it just the search bar? Is it just the tags? Is it just the smart group? And everyone knows it is not a just this sort of option here. Okay, looks like everybody already knew, so I'll go ahead and end that poll. And everybody unanimously said D. It is all of the above. You can filter by those smart groups, filter by those tags, filter by searching for particular people and actually like looking in all of the visible columns that are available. So those are definitely all three available so that you can choose those. So I think with that, I'm going to turn things over to you and kind of see if anybody else had any questions. It looks like there were a few questions in here that Rod has already taken care of. So if there are any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them. If you guys do not, I just thank you guys so much for spending some time with me on going over just getting started with Church360 and adding in those people records. We at Support, we're definitely happy to hear from you. If you have any suggestions, if you're interested in field testing, if you have a support question or any sort of situation that you're not really sure on exactly how to approach in the Church360 system, feel free to just reach out to us at that 1-800 number or at that email address. We're always happy to help you. And I just hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. So thank you so much.